I retrace so many voices that maybe I have been listening to from early childhood, and really it has been a journey of reflection, and it's really a good thing to be in this challenge.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you, Kanye, for those remarks. Good morning, Paula. Let's hear how you're feeling this morning.
Good morning, Madam Gladys, Madam Consistency, Madam Inspiration. And yes, I have an outburst of joy today. I'm feeling deeply happy and truly blessed.
What's your takeaway for the week, Paula?
The one key, I think it's been one word, simplicity. And the
Mm.
simplicity derived from that younger me, the younger version of me. The younger me was bold, very confident, and did anything for as long as it felt right. And the outcome, now that I back at it, was beautiful, for lack of a better word. And I think I want that joy that the 5, 10-year-old me had. I want to go back to me. And it gives me joy to know that I can rewind the hands of time and try and do the me now and get back to the younger me.
Wow. That's a beautiful statement, Paula. Let's appreciate her, even as I ask all of you to type you're ready for today's session. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for turning in on time. It is my pleasure and honor to invite our coach, the one and only Dr. Job Mogire, to take us through this day 4 or 5 of Return Challenge. Back over to you, Dr. Mogire. Good evening.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you again, Gladys. I am really grateful. I'm grateful in a way that even my knee knows, my elbow knows. I'm not grateful the word. I am grateful. That is, I feel grateful. That is, I desire to be grateful. That is, I'm thinking grateful, but that is, I am grateful. And I didn't know the difference until I knew the difference. I am grateful. Absolutely, deeply grateful. I am inspired by all of you. Today, for the first time, I had time to read all the comments from the beginning, and I was able to watch 2 of last week's sessions, and I was able to watch, for some reason, I ended up watching yesterday's session, not the previous 2. And if you have been plugged in, I know without a doubt there are things in your life you will never be able to see the same way you saw them previously. The day before yesterday, I asked you to make a small commitment. And for those of you who made the commitment, how you know that you've made a commitment is that you are subconsciously cannot be innocent of that commitment. It follows you. Once you truly make the commitment takes over. If you make a commitment to wake up at 5 a.m., you don't need an alarm. You need an alarm to remind you when you haven't committed. When you've committed, the commitment takes over. And today, I am going to show you a framework that if you have been to the daily reset, you already know. If you've read Embody, you already know. This is the 5-day return challenge. My first question before I show you that framework is, do you commit? And I want you to go to the chat box, but I want you to be careful what you are combining the word commit with. Your response is going to be 3 words. But if you do not feel ready to commit to returning, and that doesn't mean you have to join Return 90. Of course, I would want you to join Return 90 because that is going to be a vessel that makes sure. If, for example, right now you're worried, oh, I may not be able to raise the money, trust me, by the end of Return 90, your mind will work differently. So before you go to the chat box, I want you to actually just pay attention to what you actually feel. Because even if you don't do this for Return 90, you have 2026, 12 months of your life. If you walk into 12 months of your life depending on alarm to remind you to show up for what matters for you, that will be another reason why another year goes by, you get to December and wonder, where did the last 12 months go? But if you're willing, if you are ready, if you have the spirit of willingness to commit, because once you make the commitment, then you go into the book of your life as having committed, and you can never take it back. If you are committing to seek a return back to the 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old you, who still remembers things you have forgotten and who has been waiting. You went to a far country, but they remained at home. If you are willing, I want you to get the chat box and type, I am committed. I am committed, because that puts it in past tense. At the time you type it, you have crossed a line. You can't go back. If you say I'm committing to call you back in 30 minutes. Sometimes it can be 30 minutes tomorrow, because I didn't say 30 consecutive minutes. It can be 30 minutes spread over 2 days. I am committed. It is done. It is done. That is something major that you just did there. And I want you to take down this framework. The central pillar of my work is intentionality. Anybody who has been to Momentum 90 and Breakthrough knows this line. Intentionality gives me the power. I don't want to finish it. I want to find somebody else. Intentionality gives me the power. Let me see, either Mercy or Florence. If those are not there, then
to embody.
to embody.
Intentionality gives me the power to embody. How can I forget that word?
The
To embody
identity.
the identity God designed for me.
Yep. Take that line down. Take that line down. Those of you who are there in 2024 during the daily reset, you know that we spent weeks going from word to word to word to word. Intentionality gives me the power to embody the identity God designed for me. Even those who were in the Momentum 90 at the time, they didn't know that I was stealing something from Return 90 and bringing it there. Because that line is about return. Where are you returning to? To that identity that is unsoiled. The identity that cannot be touched by success or touched by failure. In other words, whether or not I am succeeding or I am failing, it does not affect, it does not change the identity He designed for me. How do I get there? Intentionality gives me the power to embody the identity God designed for me. Intentionality gives me. It's probably not necessarily the me, the adult now. It's the me beyond what I think I am right now. It's not what I think I am. It gives me who I really am. The power And that is why commitment works. That's why when you made the commitment, it was going to be very difficult for you to not show up here at the time you committed. And the word is committed, not committing. When you hear people say, oh, I spoke to him and he was non-committal, it means there is no deal. He was there, but he was non-committal. It's no deal. Intentionality gives me the power to embody the identity God designed for me. When we read this passage, he came to himself because he had left, but he came to himself. After he came to himself, he made a commitment. I will arise and go. I will arise and go. It's not I am arising and I'm going. No, I will arise. That commitment is what activated his return. If you have committed today that you are returning, your work is to activate that return with intentionality. And you don't have to do it blindly. Your intentionality will be guided by 7 intentionality commitments. And this is how we make it specific. He made a specific commitment. I will arise and go. That's all. I will arise and go. In the process of going, he started rehearsing a speech, which we all do. We started rehearsing a speech. How many arguments have you had in your mind that nobody has ever heard? How many rebuttals of words you had from the past have you heard? How many times do you make a presentation, then you go home and think of 60 different ways you could have done it better? It's what we do. But if we have a clear framework to follow, if you truly have committed, now I want you to say, I am committed to awareness. And so whatever you wrote down, I am committed. It's now you're going to apply the 7 principles of this framework to you. I am committed to awareness. And so I want us to make it very practical. I don't want you to type these ones in the chat box. I want us to make it very practical. Awareness is about seeing things as they are. Awareness is about seeing things as they are with no judgment. You see them as they are. So once you take down that first commitment, I want you to write next to it what the activation of that commitment. I will arise and go. How are you going to awareness? I want you to write down that I am willing to see myself as I am. And I want you to write it with a level of, let it come out as you write it, like really pull it out. I am willing to see myself as I am. I don't want to just write it. I want you to pull it out. I want you to say it. I hope you're in an environment where you can actually say it. I am willing. I am willing to see myself as I am. That is your commitment to awareness. I am willing to see myself as I am. The second commitment is the commitment to learning. I am committed to learn. I am committed to learn. I am committed to learn. What are you learning? 3 things. Number 1, I'm committed to learn who I am without my achievements. I'm committed to learn who I am without my reputation, without my success. I am willing to learn. Therefore, I am committed to learn. I am committed to learn who I am without. But this is the same questions we looked at. We're just applying them because we were preparing the source. Now it's time to actually put it together. The second thing you are willing to learn. I am willing I'm committed to learn. I'm committed to learn. I'm committed to learn the voices. I am committed to learn the voices. Every single time a thought comes to you, an idea comes to you, you retain that commitment, the curiosity. Where is this coming from? I am committed. I am committed. I am committed. I am committed to release the inner truth. I am committed to release the inner truth. I am committed to release the inner truth. We can get so caught up protecting, fighting for, justifying, explaining what survived, when what survived is in some ways disconnected from the whole entirety, from the identity God designed for you and for me. The third commitment is the commitment to change. The third commitment is the commitment to change. And I want to recommend just 2 changes only. Don't make too many changes. 2 changes. The first one is how I talk to myself. That's the first one. How I talk to myself. I am committed to change how I talk to myself. The second change is I am committed to change how I think of myself. Number 4 is the commitment to action. Action. Here it is very simple. Everything that you get to do, it's either you are doing something about God's business, or you're doing something about other people's business, or you're doing something about your business. If you're going to a wedding that you know you don't want to go to, but you are going because they will talk, you are engaged in other people's business. If you are complaining about politics in Kenya and the coup d'etat in Africa and the weather, you are involved in God's business. Where is the action that narrows down to your business? The prodigal son could easily have complained about everything. This far country economy is so expensive, it wasted all my money. The people that I spent money on have now run away from me. Nobody's giving me anything, even the pots the pigs eat in this country. This pig pen is too small. These are too many pigs. He could easily have complained about all those things. But he did one thing, said, I will arise and go. That's the commitment. But then he followed it with action and he did what he committed to. I have said this a couple of times that next year is about having a few specific commitments, few simple specific commitments that are so simple your 5-year-old self could have made them. But you make them and then you stick with them. It will turn around the year 100%. It will totally turn around the year. I am committed to action. I am willing to direct my time, energy, and attention. That is called T, time, energy, and attention. I am willing to direct my tea to my business, your time, your energy, and attention to your business. Not God's business, not other people's business, your business. When you read the story of the prodigal son, I think one of the least recognized attribute is how much resilience it took for him to walk back home. You are the son who stood up to your father and essentially told him that, Father, I want to live as though you are dead. In other words, you cut yourself off from this family. But he, despite having done that, he says, I will arise and go, and he went. Can you imagine if you had done something like that to the family and you're coming back? It takes a lot of resilience. And his resilience is a bit hidden. His resilience is a bit hidden because from the moment the far countries, he ran out of money in the far countries, famine came, he went through everything. This gentleman was probably raised with a soft life, but he hired himself out and he fed pigs and he stayed there until he hit rock bottom. That was resilience. And I believe that that's the resilience that gave him the courage to return. The fifth commitment you make is, I am committed to resilience. I am committed to resilience. And here is how I think of the resilience in very practical terms. What I commit to do. What I commit to do. Nothing gets to stop me. Nothing gets to stop me unless it's something physical. What stops you from what you want to do, where you want to go, what you desire, is rarely physical. It's not capability. It is a feeling you have. It's an emotion. Just think of any goal you were pursuing and you stopped. You don't stop because you don't have the capacity. You stop because of what you feel. If you've ever lifted weight, what most people think they have lifted weight and now this is the end, it's not the end. When you truly lift to failure, even the last push up or the last pull up, you don't do zero. You still move a little bit of a distance until you get the point where you know for sure this is the very end. If you say, I am committed to resilience, it means that after you have narrowed down to these few specific things, you are going to go max on those specific things, because that is how you go beyond your comfort zone. And that is how you grow. That's how you automatically meet your need for variety. That's how you automatically meet your need for growth. Because in training, you can never grow. You can maintain what you have, but you can never grow unless you stretch your muscles, stretch your body, stretch your running to the point, almost to the point of failure. In other words, you will push through. Now, what we don't want to do is what we have been doing when we are running and we are pushing through in so many directions. We are pushing through things that are meant to prove, things we are doing for comparison, things we are doing for competition. If I am asserting my resilience in the areas that align with here, with the 5, 4, 3, 6-year-old me, I become like a razor blade. I start cutting through 1 inch wide, 10 miles deep. 1 inch wide, 10 miles deep. That's the power of commitment. I am committed. And remember those first 2 words. I am committed to resilience. I am committed to resilience. Commitment number 6 is the same as commitment number 1, except commitment number 1 starts with a clean slate. Commitment number 6 starts with what you have gathered, what you have experienced. That is the difference. When you reflect on what you committed to, because you are measuring action, you're measuring intention against outcome. I am committed, and this is, I want you to make this very specific. I am committed to sit with myself for, put a number of minutes that you want there. And these are minutes where you sit, there is no phone, it is you, pen and paper. This is the key that unlocks all the layers that come from above. That's the key that unlocks everything. This is why people who reflect, they learn lessons from the same environment where other people are not learning the lessons. This is where experience becomes insight. I am committed to sit with myself for X minutes every day. Can I see? I don't want you to make it ambitious. Can you share? Let's see. Can some people just go into the chat box and drop what you're committing to, because I don't want you to sit for 3 hours. It's not something you will do every day. I want it to be, even if you end up doing other things, I want to make sure that the reflection segment is very specific. How many minutes are you committing to? Don't just type the minutes. I want you to say, I am committed to X minutes. How many minutes? I am committed to how many minutes? 5 minutes is better than 30 minutes that you don't do. I am committed to sit. I'm committed to how many minutes? I see 20 minutes. I see 1 hour. Epale, I want you to do 1 hour, but I want you to start with 10 minutes. 10 minutes you can give every day. If you are able to go to 1 hour, that is bonus. LC, 30 minutes. Everyone, I want every one of you to get committed to 10 minutes. That is absolute minimum, no matter what happens. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And then add, like Ipalea, so many of you have seen 20 minutes, I've seen, add whatever you want to add, but the absolute minimum is 10 minutes, so that you are able to absolutely do it every day. Your final commitment in the 7 intentionality commitments framework is accountability. That is why you have to join the daily reset. Even if you don't join Return 90, you have to join the daily reset. That will be a different level of membership. There are crucial things, unfortunately, you will miss if you're not in Return 90, but the daily reset will give you accountability. 100%, and I'm putting my hands up like this, 100%, I promise all of you, anyone who can hear me, 100%, I promise you, if all you do in 2026 is just attend daily reset, not even for a year, just attend it for the first 90 days. I was about to say gaki, but I won't say it. I've said it. I was going to say gaki. It's 90 days of you showing up, and Gladys will lead each of those daily reset. And the daily reset is going to be so much bigger than, if you've seen it before, you've seen preparation for the daily reset. The daily reset is going to be so much bigger. The daily reset is going to go corporate. But that will never detract from what we are doing here. 90 days of doing the daily reset at the beginning of 2026. At the end of 2026, we need to meet to organize a meeting for introduction. And that is the power of accountability. So this is one commitment you will write differently. And this one I will give you directly. Okay? This commitment is, I will not lead myself by myself. And this one I need you to just write it down, but you also need to make sure you say it, make sure you type it. I will not lead myself by myself. This one I need you to type. If you can hear my voice, if you are in this meeting, this one you have to type. You need to type it. Unless it's not something that you want. If it's not something you want, that's okay. I will not lead myself by myself. If you removed everything else we've spoken about today, and all you do in 2026 is you don't lead yourself by yourself, you've already set yourself up for a year like none you've ever seen before. I will not lead myself by myself. I will not lead myself by myself. I am committed to awareness so that I can see myself as I am. I'm committed to learning so that I can learn the inputs that come into my life, especially the voices. I'm committed to change. Did I skip change? I probably did, because I don't remember talking about it. Did I talk about change?
Yes, you did.
Okay, yes, because if did I talk about how you talk to yourself?
Yes, and how
Yes.
you think about yourself. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. I'm just making sure because I'm reiterating because that is one of the most important. I am committed to action. If you go from talk, the reason we get stuck in talk is because we have an agenda that is this big and this much attention. If you have this much attention and you take your agenda and put it here, what happens is you have created a magnifying glass. The magnifying glass will amplify whatever attention you put in there. And you don't need a lot of attention. You just need enough pure attention. That's it. Enough pure attention. If you've ever started a fire using a stick, right? You are not moving the stick this way. It's a very small area, but you just put it there, right? It's just, you don't need a lot of attention, just enough pure attention. There will be many things in your life that you continue to do that you don't have to be deeply invested in, but there are the turn point, what we call the pivotal, the cornerstone elements which you identified. And that's one of the things we will do in Return 90. Those ones become where your razor blade energy shows up and you cut through. That's where your magnifying glass shows up. You take a little bit of pure attention, just pure attention. You don't need a lot of oil to light a fire. You need a drop. If you have a drop and you have control of that drop, the problem is many times we have a gallon, but we don't even have control of the gallon. That's the problem. You have a gallon and then you go to Lake Victoria and you pour it there and then you go looking for a match to try and light it. It's not going to work. Forget about the gallon. Take just a pint of oil like this and then you bring a matchbox to it. The matchbox is your attention. You don't need a ton of attention. You just need sufficient pure attention. How do you create sufficient pure attention? By working in alignment with intentionality. Awareness will unlock it. Awareness will unlock it. Reflection will ignite it. Your awareness will unlock your attention. Intentionality will ignite it and create a fire. And once you've created that fire, you have to sustain the fire. You can't lead yourself by yourself because you can't see the whole frame where you are. We explored these 3 questions. The first question we've been looking at is, who am I without my achievements? Who am I without my history? Who am I without my mistakes? Who am I without all these external things? The second question is, whose voice am I trying to satisfy? Whose voice am I trying to satisfy, and at what cost? What part of me have I had to suppress, to silence, in order to satisfy those voices? And third question was, the part of you that survived failure. And so this, what I'm about to talk about now, is the core for the next 2 to 3 minutes. This is the core of today. Everything we have done up to here, the 7 intentionality commitments, that's a tool that you will carry with you. But this is the core. At least 9 famous world actors have played Nelson Mandela. One of them is Idris Elba. Idris played Mandela. Morgan played Mandela. So I want you to think about that. They played Mandela. In other words, they have their identity that does not change, the identity that carries their national passport, their citizenship, but then there is the role that they played. What if I told you today that you have never failed at anything? What if I told you that you have never failed, you've never made a mistake your entire life, but that in your life there are 2 entities. There is the player and there is the character. The player is who you are. The player does not change. When Idris plays Mandela, he remains Idris. But during that movie, the way he speaks, the things he says, what he does during the movie are expressed through the character. Such that you are here today, but you are the same person who went to nursery school and you cried on the first day you were taken to school. You slept in class. In English, there is a word called susu. Which is when there is a bit of rain out there. It's an English word. I think it's borrowed from French. So you susued, which is you susued on yourself when you were very young. You are the same person. So sometimes when you're dressed in a suit, it looks like, oh, it happened to you. It happened to me too, probably. You are the same person who has been in each of those layers. You are the same person, right? But you have carried all these roles. The hardest thing for me, the hardest battle I've ever had to fight is how to disentangle myself from the roles I had become so identified with that I forgot that behind the role there is a person. That the reason why sometimes I feel so frustrated, the reason why I feel disappointed, the reason why I feel heartbroken is because I am trying to meet my core needs using the role rather than the core. Because the role believes that the needs will be met externally. The role you play is trying to meet your needs externally, but your core has already met those needs internally. And such that the time when I feel like I'm about to hit this goal and then the goal is taken away, there is an even bigger split that happens between me who never changes, who I've left behind, and the me that is running forward. The player does not need anybody to justify them. When Idris Elba shows up to play Mandela, if the director that is casting him tells him, no, sorry, we have hired somebody else, Idris Elba gets on the airplane and goes back to the UK because he is a player. He can go and play a different role. So what if in 2026, you will zoom out and realize that what happens in your life is a role, and this role is just an external expression Sometimes it's not even the accurate expression of what's in here internally. Such that as you intentionally commit to awareness, you begin to see that gap. There is the role, and those roles will be, there are people to whom you are confident. There are people to whom you are a customer. There are people to whom you are an employee. There are people to whom you are the boss. There are people to whom you are the mother, the father, the sister. These are all roles. And in each of these areas, there's a character you are playing, but the player remains. The character can fail or succeed. The player never fails or succeeds because that's a script. And the script can be changed. And your power lies in committing to awareness, learning, change, action, resilience, reflection, so that you can begin to change the script. You're no longer inheriting the script to the player. You realize that the character, whatever the character is doing, you just need to become aware. Once you become aware, then you can learn, you can change, you can take action. You can embrace resilience that keeps you moving. You can reflect so that your experiences become insight. And you don't have to do it alone. You do it along with other people. I want you to write this down and circle it, this simple line, circle it. You are going to feel resistance to this line, but eventually it's going to settle in. Just write it down. I have never failed. I have never failed. My role as a son, I might have failed. My role as a teacher, my role as a shopkeeper, my role as a nurse, my role as a driver, my role as a friend, that might have failed, but I have never failed. I have never failed. The character failed. The character failed, the character succeeded. The character needs to show what it has achieved. The character needs these external things, but I don't need. Does it mean I will stop today pursuing these external things? No. But what does it mean? I begin to return so that I reduce the gap between here and here. So that eventually more of the player starts to come through, not just the character. And the more of the character I bring out, rather, the more of the player I bring out, less of the character I will need. Because here is how you know that the character is in charge. The character changes colors depending on where they are. The character changes their voice depending on where they are. The character dresses differently depending on where they are going, whom they are going to meet. But the player can show up exactly as they are. The challenge is that we stopped trusting the player. We stopped trusting the player, we started dressing the character. And this is the biggest battle of return. Disentangling from the roles, realizing that these are scripts. There can be 100 movie scripts and the character can play all of them, but the player never becomes any of those characters. If Idris would become Mandela today, we would call him Mandela from the UK, but he still remains Idris Elba. I have never failed. Just go ahead and share any, what beyond the line, that last line, which I want to make sure you actually say it yourself. And say it yourself again until you will face resistance, but eventually it will settle in. And at this time, I will hand over to Gladys as you continue sharing your key takeaways from this session. Thank you. Gladys,
Wow.
over to you.
Let's appreciate Dr. Mogire for that insightful session. What a morning. I felt so much resistance. Writing I have never failed. I don't know about you, but this is one statement that has taken me to a different level. How are you feeling today? Grace MK, good morning. How are you feeling about today's session? What's your takeaway today? Grace? Okay. Let's hear from David. David, thank you for the applause. How are you feeling today? What's your takeaway, David?
Thank you so much, Gladys. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Thank you so much. I want to really appreciate Dr. for the insightful presentation and the sharing. I'm very glad that today I was able to join very early. I agree. Actually, this is one session that I've taken a lot of notes in because I got to plug in. And I really want to agree and just say that those various 7 commitments make a whole new meaning for me. And I think that my key takeaway from this session is that commitment is non-negotiable. For me to amount to something, I am committing to the 7 commitments, starting from awareness to accountability. And so I'm happy that it's also mentioned that the pathway to follow is there. I am committing to follow the pathway so that I manifest in my authentic self. Thank you very much, Gladys.
Wow, committed to follow your pathway. Thank you, David. Elsie Opar, good morning. How are you feeling today?
Good morning. I'm feeling very excited and enthusiastic about moving forward with this. In the past, I have been trying to do this by myself, but I have not always been sure of what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong. But I'm really glad that these sessions are really validating every effort that is put into being better or being my true self. And it's the commitments that I've learned today are really an eye opener and a good guidance of what I need to do. So I'm just grateful for that, and I'm reflecting in each commitment.
Which is your key commitment? Which one do you feel is key for you? They are all important.
Yes, it is the commitment to resilience, because things come in between and we use them as excuses. But what I've learned today is what I commit to do, nothing gets to stop me. So, and that is my biggest take home.
Wow. Thank you, Elsie, for sharing this. Looking forward to seeing you on Daily Reset. Let's wrap it up with Debbie. Debbie, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Gladys.
How are you and how's your feeling today? How are you feeling?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I think for me, this session has been quite powerful because it has opened my eyes to something I've been trying to figure out for a while. This feeling of being misaligned. And I think I got the answer when Daktari said the challenge is that we stopped trusting the player and started dressing the character. So I think the reason why I feel misaligned is because I am focusing on the characters and not the player. But if I can go back to trusting myself, the core self, the player, then I can separate the roles from who I am, and I can find that alignment that I need.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What are you committing to? Which of
So
the commitments is key?
for me, I'd say two of them. The first one is I'm committing to awareness, because that reflection is what is revealing the core parts, the parts that I am, that gives me feedback on the daily bits where I am not connected with who I am. And the second key one, I think, is committing to accountability, which is I will not lead myself by myself. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Debbie. I want to testify that accountability has changed me, especially when it is so authentic. And I've done this for almost 2 years. And so please tune into the accountability sessions on Return 90. I want to yield back to Daktari for his final comments. Thank you all for sharing. If you haven't shared on mic, please type on the chat your key take homes. Dr. Mogire.
I would love for you to make sure when I send the link for this session that you watch it afresh. You review your notes, but then you watch the whole session again. And try to embrace the mindset that you have not heard it before. And this is I couldn't get myself to dissect the core elements of this session last week, but this sets up everything. It sets up everything. So watch that session. Join Return 90. And I do not apologize for talking about it, because I know that if I knew that I was only going to do one program for the rest of my life for just one time and that's it, it will be Return 90. And most importantly, pay attention to those commitments in the 7 intentionality commitments. I'll see you tomorrow. I don't have anything else. Thank you, and I wish you a great day. Back to you, Gladys.
We feel you, Doc. We feel the session is heavy also on you. So we want to appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing with us your Return 90. It is now the time that I would want a volunteer to commit to Return 90. If you haven't already registered, the registration is on the chat. If you've not joined the WhatsApp group, please join. If you're having challenges, I'm not sure how to handle that, but probably if you email your details to Return 90 registration, we'll get a way to get you on the group. Okay. Arnold, you went off the video and I was looking to talk to you. And Palel, if you're not able to, that's okay. Arnold.
Hi, Gladys. I'm here. Sorry.
okay. We will give you 30 seconds of fame.
Appreciate Daktari for taking time. And today's takeaway is just focusing on me as the player, because so many things happen in life and you embody characters that are not who you are. And for me, my takeaway is focusing on the player who is me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. By a show of hands, can I see those who have registered for Return 90? By a show of hands, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, please do your registration. We are closing by Christmas, but for now, the session by tomorrow, we should at least get your emails in. Thank you so much, everyone. It has been one of those sessions that, as Daktari said, I will need to go and see and revisit, and definitely look at my commitment levels and talk to myself and talk to my accountability group about it, because that's the only way to grow together. Thank you for those lifted hands. Is there anyone with a burning question? We have a minute to go. This has been day 5
Looks like Elsie
of
has. Did you have a
Elsie has.
question, or that was
Okay.
you raised your hand during the? I think she raised her hand when we were raising hands. Okay.
This has been day 4, not 5. Sorry, day 4 of Return 90 challenge. It is different. It is powerful. What a pleasure to have Daktari here with us, and wish you a beautiful morning, East Africa.